Well, greetings and thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you our story and Durbanville Baptist Church's story about the Dbc Life Trust, or the Durbanville Baptist Church Life Trust. In 2008, I was meeting with a friend and we were having dinner, and he was come over from Switzerland. He was working in Switzerland, and we were sitting down and he said to me, "Basil, I've got a sum of money. What can I do with it to help people who really need this kind of help?" At the very same time, God had been working in my heart in a very particular way, and very specifically with regard to retired pastors and widows, retired missionaries and widows in our own denomination who literally had served God their entire lives, and at the end of that had very little to show in terms of being able to retire and being able to live on what they had. And so there was this burden that grew in my own heart towards those in our midst who were struggling and suffering. I can remember a particular verse of scripture that really stood out to me, was just that one where it reminds us that if we can't take care of our own family, our own people, then we are worse than unbelievers. And I remember just the challenge of that, and also just the sense of not knowing where to start and how to begin, and what we could do, what we couldn't do, and so that kind of catapulted us into a conversation about what John Stott speaks about, the two oars of the same boat, where we are evangelizing and also meeting the needs of people at the same time. And so I began to speak to friends, I began to speak to our own congregation. Soon I realized that there were others in our own congregation who felt very strongly about this and who felt that we could make a difference. We started a process of setting up a trust where people could give to that trust, and then without much to do, we could then let that money go out to those who needed it the most. It wasn't long before the trust was formed, and in God's provision, we managed to get Section 18A status for that trust. And from 2008, it's been one of the most incredible journeys to see how God, first of all, has helped us to recognize those in our denomination who needed the help. And then secondly, how God has provided. I can remember one occasion where we knew that our money was running out, and we sent a letter to all our pensioners that we were supporting, and we said to them, "Please pray with us." And I know that every one of them at the outset knows that we will do this as long as we can, and as long as God provides the funding for us. And it reminded me of just the power of prayer and how our pensioners began to pray and really pray into this, and God provided in incredible ways. When we started out, we really did feel like the little boy who brought his fish and loaves to Jesus and just presented it to him and said, "Lord, yeah, this is all I have. Take this and do with it as you please." And in as almost a miraculous way, God had just continued to divide that bread and divide those fish, and to the point where at present we are able to give almost R1 million away every single year. This has catapulted into making sure that there are up to 40 retired pastors, retired widows of the Baptist denomination who have served God their entire lives, but now who are living below the breadline to get an extra 800 Rand a month. And it's been wonderful to see that. We know that at the beginning of COVID, this was elevated, and we realized that people's needs would be greater because now they had family who were unemployed, and now they had people who they were trying to provide for, and it was so awesome to be able to, during the COVID period, up our giving to those individuals and to be able to give them double, and sometimes even more than double, what they would get on a monthly basis. God's people have been amazing from around the country. Our own congregation, people have supported, people have bought into this, and we've seen just an incredible an incredible sense of generosity at so many different levels from people. We also saw during the course of lockdown that there were greater needs in our community, and we just put it out onto our church group and church groups that we were looking to support those who were in poorer communities from our own, with some kind of income, some kind of gift every month. And as a result of that, during the course of lockdown, through the Dbc Life Trust, we were able to give up to 200,000 rands worth of vouchers away to those who needed it most. In our community, if you don't know our community, you will know that there's Wallasdean that's close by, there's Belleville South that's close by, and there's different other areas where families have been in need. There's been Delft that we've given quite a lot of money to as well. And God has just provided for us, and we've been able to give away, and we've been able to provide vouchers in terms of food vouchers for people during and throughout the course of lockdown. Furthermore, the trust has grown and continues to grow, and we are anticipating to see how God works through this. And over the years now, we've been supporting a homework club in Delft, and recently we've started a friendship with the Light of God Baptist Fellowship in Wallasdean. God has been so good. I know that our secretary, our PA at Durbanville Baptist Church often gets the calls from the pensioners from around the country just saying, thank you so much. Your generosity was able to help me meet some of my hospital expenses. Your generosity was able to help us provide for our family at a very critical period in our lives. Your generosity just has doubled my income, and I've been able to just live a little easier, live a little better. Now, by no means do we cover every person's need, but I am just so grateful for a God that we serve, who has taken what we have and who has broken it, and who continues to break it and continues to pour out His blessings through this simple little act. God has been so amazingly good to us, and we're trusting Him for the way ahead. This is just the start of what God can use and what God can do through this trust. I know that many of you and many people around the country know about the Dbc Life Trust. Many of you have supported the Dbc Life Trust. I know that there have been some amazing churches and Baptist churches from the denomination who over the years been so generous towards the Dbc Life Trust. And today just also want to say a massive thank you to you. A massive thank you for your obedience, and a massive thank you for seeing the needs of others and the needs of families, spiritual family, who have had desperate circumstances and desperate situations. This trust continues to surprise me, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Maybe I should be fully aware of all that God can do when we just step out and ask Him to do something. But it continues to surprise me as to how much one can do just with a simple, straightforward little idea, where there's a heart that's burdened for something, and where there is the expertise and the skill to put certain things in place to be able to help those in need. Be encouraged. If you've been giving to the trust, continue to give to us. We're really grateful for the fact that we can give to retired pastors, that we are able to support homework clubs. And for those of you who don't know what a homework club is, it's just where children can come and in a safe place study at a church, in a church building with computers, and where they are able to do their projects, do their homework, and then go home and spend the rest of the evening at home. God bless, and thank you so much for just all that you've done, and the fact that we can speak a little bit about the Dbc Life.